Hello everybody, we are back with a new video which is called How to Transform a Kid's Crisis in Calmness and Joy Magically. So it's a little long for the title, so maybe I will change it later. But there are 3 steps in order to calm a kid's crisis instantly. And this is magical. It works in 100% of cases. So I will tell you about it a little bit later, but first I wanted just to talk about a few incoherences that we have as parents, when, for example, we tell our kids, finish your plate. It's not logical because actually we are the one who chose the quantity of food that we put in the kid's plate, and we thought that it was corresponding exactly to his internal feeling of hunger. Which doesn't make sense because we are not in the kid's body, so we could not know. But this is an incoherence, or when we tell a kid, stop yelling. I try to make it soft, but it's not coherent. We ourselves are yelling. It's just like when we say, don't hit your friends, like don't use violence, bam. Like, we're not coherent. We are saying something that we don't apply the rules that we are talking about, Another example, last one, I promise. When we say, calm down, it's just a toy. It's just like your brother took your toy, but come on, calm down. It's just a toy. We forget that we ourselves, let's take an example. Imagine one of your colleagues at work took an idea from you and pretends it comes from him. You are going to be quite angry, right? And if someone says, calm down, it's just an idea, like, chill. No, it's like, no, we have trouble. We cannot just calm down in a split of a second just because someone tells us to. So how can we expect a kid who is just a few years, who has just been living a few years of life in this world, how can we expect this kid to do something that we ourselves, after 30 years, 35, 40 years of experience on earth, we are still not able to do, which is calming down when we are told to calm down. So, before I give the 3 magical steps, it is important to understand this. This is something that is quite common. We often say that we educate children like this, but when we are bothered, when we are getting angry because of a kid's crisis, we usually use violence. And the reason why this behavior is so common, it is because it works in the sense that the kid is just crying and he completely forgets about the context. He completely forgets about the object of his or her crisis. And here I just want to remind everyone that being in shock and in pain to a point where you completely forget about the context, you completely forget about what you wanted like just a few minutes before, this is called a trauma. This is called a trauma. So in the traditional education, we use multiple little traumas in order to deal with kids' crisis. And here I'm not judging for all the parents who feel bad and regret whenever they use violence against their kids. Don't blame it too much on yourself, because you did not know. So you could not know something that you didn't know, so okay, let it behind. Now you have a new way, you have a new option, which I will explain also with the 3 steps. You have a new option to redo, to transform your life and your perception and your way of being with your kids. And this is just the most important thing, And just one last thing about this. It is not because you know something, it is not because you learn something new that it will change your life drastically from like a second, It needs to be implemented. And in order to implement it, you need to remember it more than you forget. So when you have this new option that I will talk also about a little in just a few minutes, you suddenly have the choice in your life to either keep acting the old way or the new way. And sometimes you'll act the old way and then you'll remember that there is another option and you'll be like, yeah, next time I will do this. And this is fine, because the important thing is just to remember that there is another way. And the more you're going to remember, the more you're going to be able to implement it in your life. Thank you. What is important also to understand is that our angriness, the fact that we are bothered with the kids' crisis, does not come from the kids' crisis. It actually comes because we cannot do something that we want to do. We are stressed by something, by work, by time, by whatever. But it is our perception that changes. It has nothing to do with the kids' behavior, which is also why in different situations with different contexts, we are not going to handle the kids' crisis the same manner. This is showing you it is not about the kids' crisis. It is about our perception. And it is always about something that we are stressed about, or something that we try to do and we cannot do. So by taking the time to understand what is behind this perception, what is it that we are trying to do and we are not able to do, what is stressing us, what are we stressed about? When we take the time to do this, we are able to detach ourselves from the hold of this, and be a lot more serene and peaceful in our life and with our kids. I'm going to take an example. Examples are great. They are talking, it's speaking to everyone. Let's take an example that is going to be, quite common. The bath. You try to get your kids to go and take their bath, and they don't want to, and you are stressed because time is going, and after the bath you need to cook dinner, and then they need to eat, and then they need to go to sleep at a certain time because tomorrow there's school. Your stress comes from time. We don't have the time. Your stress right here comes from time, and because you're stressed of time, you are going to get mad at your kids. Oh, God, take your bath, la la la. And when you understand where it comes from, so for this example, this comes because I'm stressed of the time, and the time is just running, and I am like, there's so much to do. Just pause and be like, okay, so is it really a big deal if I'm 10 minutes late? If we are 10 minutes late on our routine, is it really a big deal? And you can choose, yes it is, you keep going. Or you can choose, okay, no, it doesn't matter, but it's your choice. No judgment, again. Now, the 3 steps to magically transform a kid's crisis in calmness. Magical. First step, recognize the emotions. Recognize their feelings. Put names on it. I understand that you are frustrated because I'm not buying you this toy at the supermarket. I understand you are angry because your brother took your toy. I understand, and putting names on the emotions, again, showing the kids that emotions are normal. And as we said, ourselves as adults, we still struggle with sadness, we still struggle with anxiety, we still struggle with anger. And it is important to tell the kids that this is normal. Okay, this is, yes, part of you being a human, you know. So we have to recognize the feelings, take the time to use the words to recognize the feelings and the emotions. The second step is going to be explain. I'm explaining, you cannot get this toy at the supermarket because I have not planned to buy toys today. We just came here to buy food. So I will buy you toys, but another time, not today. Explain, your brother, he took your toy, but sometimes he doesn't know if, it is a shared toy or if it is your specific toy. So we are going to explain it to him so that he understands, and tell him that what is expected would be for him to come and ask you permission to use the toy. We are going to explain. Come with me, we'll explain to your brother. Explain, first step, again, recognize. Second step, explain. The third step is make a diversion, divert, help your kids to detach themselves from the object of their crisis. Help them find a diversion. In the supermarket, it could be, taking, whatever, like a box, and being like a box of pasta, and being like, oh, did you see how they drew this man on the box? Like, it's so weird that they drew it like this. Don't you think he would have been more funny with hairs like this and like arms like that? Or like, what do you think? Diversion, divert the attention, divert the kids' attention. Use something to help them focus on something else. These 3 steps: recognize the emotions, explain, make a diversion. These 3 steps work 100% of the time. If they don't work, it means that either you have to go back on one of the 3. It's always this. Either you have not recognized the emotion enough. And you can tell that if you see that your kids is still crying and still angry. You say, I still need to recognize the emotion. You have not explained. You say, but there's this, and it means it's more on the explanation. He needs more explanation. Or you need to take something else, for a diversion. You need to use another diversion because the diversion that you chose was not strong enough. But these 3 steps work 100%. 100%. So these are things that I have learned too. It hasn't come to me like this. Like, I noticed how I was behaving, and I looked at my kids and I observed, all of this, and I just sat down to analyze all this. This is how all this comes, to me. All that I'm sharing comes from personal experiences. So, the only time for myself to be, okay, it's going to be a long video, but just to tell you, the only time that I hit my daughter, she was quite small, and I saw her body move like this when as I was hitting her only once, and truly maybe not even 30% of my actual strength, you know. But the seeing her body move like that, I was like, no, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I need to find another way. And so this was sharing. It was just to say, okay, I know what it means to like be so tired, be so, you know, stressed out that you don't know how to handle, and like you just hit, you use violence. And I regretted it. I until this day I still, it's like it's hard on my heart. But I also admit that I didn't know better. You know, I didn't know better. I was tired and I didn't know what I was doing. And you know, it's I regret it, and made a, I made this vow to myself to say, never again. I am going, this is me and myself. It has nothing to do with my kid. My kids did not ask to come to earth. I'm the one who brought them here with their dad, of course. Like I don't do it like this, but it is on me, you know. It is my responsibility to make myself better for them, to have them be fulfilled, be happy, you know. It is my child. So yeah, this was just the personal story about how I came up with all this. But still, it took a while, you know, to understand all this, and even it took me even longer to be able to explain it clearly, you know, because I was doing it naturally, and I was like, okay, maybe I should share this, but whatever. Now you know a little bit of my personal life too. So this video has been long enough. I thank you very much for your attention, and see you soon. Bye bye.